Hello, this is Robert Sin at CEO Technician on Twitter, at Goldfinger on CEO.ca, and it's Sunday, October 30th, 2022. And I want to talk about the gold sector, the junior mining sector as a whole, with roughly 2 months left in 2022, this challenging year that has seen many gold stocks fall 30% or more. The sector is essentially down 30% year to date. You can see Newmont, the world's largest gold producer, is also down over 30% year to date. So it's an interesting setup we have with the sector so beaten down. Sentiment is pretty negative on the gold sector, especially the junior mining sector. And on Monday, it'll be October 31st, and we'll enter a new month on Tuesday. So 2 months left in the year. And there's a few cross currents here. So the first cross current is the sector's down pretty big year to date. So generally speaking, one would assume there's going to be tax loss selling over the next 4 to 6 weeks. People book in their losses for tax reasons to lower their taxable liability. They just give up and throw away stocks that they don't think are going to do anything for a while. And so there's likely to be some more shares available, and maybe even in the stocks that are down the most, there'll be additional tax loss selling. But also on the flip side, it's been a bad year. There's been selling all year. So how much more selling is there really left? Well, we don't know, but we're going to find out here. Also, generally speaking, the gold mining sector tends to put in an important low at some point in mid-November, and it generally has tailwinds through to the following February. So seasonality, generally speaking, is favorable for the gold miners from here on out through the end of the year. If I look at the GDXJ, so the Junior Gold Miners Exchange Traded Fund, I put on my chartist, my technical, analyst hat, and I see that it's forming a potential head and shoulders bottom pattern. It needs to still break this blue line to confirm. But if it does break above, let's say 32 round number level, it will target 37 to 38, roughly the 200-day moving average up here. There's a lot of positive signs. There's mounting positive signs in this chart. And essentially, if you just look to the left, the gold miners have been marking time for the last 3 or 4 months. They really haven't moved much since the end of June. They've kind of gone sideways. Yeah, they went up, they went down, they went up, they went down. But basically, this is sideways. And if I place that against the context of sentiment and the negative news that we've had for the sector, poor earnings from Newmont last quarter, a lot of companies put out poor earnings with costs that were way above expectations, profits smaller than the market expected. Generally speaking, the news has been bad in 2022. We had some small positive signs last week with the number 3 largest gold miner actually beat earnings estimates. So we'll see if that trend continues. We get Barrick and Newmont this coming week. So let's see what those earnings look like. And if they don't disappoint and the Fed doesn't say anything crazy on Wednesday, maybe we could be in for a rally next week. And maybe at some point in November, we will break above this blue line, and then the chase could be on as people become increasingly positive on the gold miners as they look ahead to next year. So really, despite the negativity, the bearish sentiment, I find the chart setup, the fundamental setup, the sentiment setup for gold and gold miners to be pretty attractive here. And so that has me trying to find some juniors that might be some really good opportunities to acquire during tax loss season. Um, so that brings me to Westhaven Gold and the main point, the feature of this video. I want to say a couple of things for full disclosure prior to getting into it. I do own shares of Westhaven Gold Corp. I've been acquiring shares the last several weeks, and actually, it's my third largest junior gold holding. I've also been compensated for marketing services by Westhaven Gold Corp. So please do your own due diligence, speak to a financial advisor. This is not a recommendation to buy or sell anything. This is my opinion, my analysis based upon publicly available data, charts, company presentation, et cetera, et cetera. So, big picture, let's go back and look at the big picture, and then we'll drill down in more detail why I think Westhaven is so interesting right now. This is the monthly chart going back 7 years. You can see that Westhaven had a big run up in 2018 from about 10 cents a share at the start of the year to almost $1.50 by the end of the year. And since then, it's basically been marking time, going sideways to lower, not unlike a lot of other gold juniors. So what happened in 2018? Well, Westhaven made a new discovery at Shovel Nose Project in southern BC in the Spence's Bridge Gold Belt. They had some really incredible gold intercepts that they announced in October 2018. Really high grade over broad widths, multiple intercepts. You can see Shovel Nose is here. And obviously, as we know, in the junior mining sector, when a new discovery is announced, especially when it's high grade in an interesting, attractive location, speculation takes hold, and people start speculating: how big could this be? How high grade could it be? You don't know, right? It's the buy the sizzle, sell the steak theme, right? So this whole run up was buying the sizzle, speculation on a new discovery. And even though Westhaven has made a lot of progress and they've drilled a lot of great gold intercepts at Shovel Nose since the end of 2018, obviously it hasn't lived up to the high expectations that were set from those first big gold intercepts from 2018, right? So, like, 17 plus meters of 25 grams, or over 40 meters of 10 grams, right? Like, those are really hard to exceed. The bar is set high then. But we're going to talk more about that shortly. But I want to set the stage here, right? So from 150 a share, almost 150 a share at the end of 2018, we're down to 38 cents. Now, part of that is due to the fact the company has had to fund its operations for over 3 years. They've been doing a lot of drilling, so they've issued more shares. So the market cap over here at the peak was probably, I'm guessing, about 120 million. And today it's about 55 million. So the market cap has been cut in half, but the share price down about 70% from the peak. And that's due to dilution, because it's an exploration company that doesn't have any revenues or profits. So they have to fund their drilling and their overhead, their corporate overhead, through share issuance. Now, I want to show another gold junior. This is Rupert in Finland, and this is a similar chart. It's an 8-year monthly candlestick chart, and you can see that Rupert had a somewhat similar run up to what Westhaven had in 2018, except it was in 2016. This is as Finland gained recognition as a gold jurisdiction, the potential to make a new discovery, high grade in Finland, was here. And then it spent over 3 years marking time going sideways to lower, much like what Westhaven has done since the end of 2018. And then boom, 2020, new discovery, big, broad, high grade intercept, and there's a new discovery, and shortly thereafter, within 2 years, you have a resource put in place of 4 million ounces at impressive average grade, and stock is $4 a share. It was over $7 a share, about $1 billion market cap Um, very impressive. And you can see the pattern it followed. It had the initial run up, gaining attention, gaining recognition. Bar is set very high at 150 a share. And then for 3 years, it goes sideways to lower, dropping down almost back to 50 cents, so down 60 to 70% from its peak. And then new discovery hole, big new gold intercept, gains the market's attention and imagination. You can see it goes from 60 cents to over $6. So another 10x. And if you put, if you do the math from January 2016 to the peak earlier this year, so 6 years, it's well over a 100x. It's more like a 150x. So this is an example of the returns that are possible in the gold sector and the junior mining sector when pretty much everything goes right. This is not something to be expected on a regular basis, or not even close to this is a 1 in 1,000 case, but it is why we play this game, and it is why we care about these companies at all. So Westhaven has been marking time for 3 years, and it's gotten very quiet. Not many people are paying much attention to it. And they just announced the start of a new drill program at a project in their Spence's Bridge Gold Belt portfolio that hasn't been drilled since 2007, Skoonka. So I would like to think, and I'm speculating, that Westhaven could have follow a similar pattern to Rupert in 2020 if they're able to generate a new discovery at Skunka, if they're able to perhaps extend the JJ zone to JJ West. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. I want to go through some bullet points here why I think Westhaven is very attractive right now at this $55 million market cap, 38 cents a share. Well, number one, the largest gold royalty company in the world invested at 40 cents a share. $1 million there. They also bought royalty on the Spence's Bridge Gold Belt claims that Westhaven holds for $6 million. They bought another royalty for Talisker claims that Westhaven owned previously. You do the math and the exchange rate on all this, and it's 10 million CAD in total. So Westhaven has 10 million in its treasury as of the end of September, and that 10 million will last quite a bit longer than it would with most other companies for two reasons. Number one, Westhaven gets a 30% government tax rebate. Don't ask me all the details of that, but they just do. So 10 million becomes more like 13 million. And they have low all-in costs of drilling in this area of southern BC because they have road access. They have a lot of infrastructure in place, and they sort of have their core shack and their team in one of the towns in the middle of all these projects, which makes it a lot easier and a lot less expensive for them to get to the projects to do the drilling and do the work. So they're all in costs about $300 per meter, all in, including everything, including assays. So do the math on that. 30 to 40,000 meters of drilling is likely to come from this $10 million that the company raised. So that's substantial. So Westhaven doesn't have any funding needs in the near future. It doesn't have any funding needs for at least the next year. Now, they've been drilling shovel nose. They're still drilling shovel nose. We're probably going to get more news on that shortly. But Skoonka is the one that's really interesting to me, and why I'm making this video and why I've been buying more shares in recent weeks. So Skoonka hasn't been drilled since 2007. The story was they were planning to drill it in 2017, but there were forest fires in BC that caused a big backlog in the permitting offices. So they drilled shovel nose instead as they were waiting to drill Skoonka. And that was when they got some sniffs of the South Zone. The South Zone was the the zone that the new discovery was made at the end of 2018, where there's some really high grade. There's a high grade core at the south zone, and the rest is history, right? So they've been focused on shovel nose since 2017, and now they finally getting back to Skoonka because the Skoonka has so much upside and it's so intriguing for a number of reasons. So if we go the next slide, the reason why the Spence's Bridge Gold Belt was found, the reason why it's interesting, the reason why the prospector who formerly worked for Westhaven, who's now passed away, uh, was so interested in and did the prospecting work that led to the staking of these four projects was the Fraser River gold rush of the late 1850s. So there was gold discovered down around Yale in 1857, and then over 20,000 prospectors flooded in across this river in BC over the subsequent months and years. And there were a few million ounces, nobody knows exactly how many, but a few million ounces pulled out of this river, placer gold, over the next several years. So where did all that gold come from? You have millions of ounces of placer gold in this river that is easy enough for people with picks and shovels and pans to pull it out with their bare hands in the 1850s. Well, where did it come from? There has to be multiple, not just one, there's got to be multiple hard rock sources somewhere along this river. And actually, the Skoonka um, is the one that's closest to the river and has multiple streams that could flow right into the Fraser that are near it, right? So there's a potential that there's a fully intact source of the high grade gold here at Skoonka. And the fact that there's a historic gold, there's multiple historic gold intercepts, high grade gold intercepts at Skoonka, lends to this thesis. There's 20.2 grams per ton gold over 12.8 meters, 26.8 grams per ton gold over 3.3 meters, 7.5 grams over 4.1 meters. And this is all from drilling back around 2005, 2006, 2007. So what is Westhaven doing this year? Okay, first drill program since 2007. They're drilling 13 holes for roughly 3,000 meters, diamond drilling, targeting the JJ vein system, the same vein system that these gold intercepts are from. And then the possible extension, the westward extension at JJ West. So there'll be shallow drilling near these historic gold intercepts to start the program, to sort of fill it in, test the continuity of the high grade, and then start stepping out to the west to test the deeper portions of the JJ vein structure, the vein trend. And there's indications that there's a second zone out here to the west. This is called JJ West right here. So at JJ West, you have some soil anomalies, some very notable soil anomalies with pathfinder elements. And then you also have a mag low. So this is sort of the recipe, the perfect recipe for these low sulfidation epithermal gold systems like shovel nose. The higher grade sort of boiling zone is often characterized by pathfinders at surface and shallower, with some gold halo, so lower grade gold halo near surface, with a magnetic low, right? And then as you drill deeper, you get to that perfect depth where the boiling zone tends to be, usually 300 or 400 meters. That's where you find the really high grade, like at the South Zone. So that's the theory. That's the thesis here, that JJ West, somewhere over here, could be that higher grade boiling zone. The mag low is very interesting because that often represents the feeder fault zone. Um, yeah, and so you usually have sort of wider halo of bulk tonnage, lower grade gold. So maybe it's like a half gram or 0.7 grams over a much wider area. And then you have that much higher grade feeder zone the boiling zone, so to speak, at depth. And so that's what Westhaven is going to be doing. They're going to be stepping out 900 meters to the southwest. You can see the scale map here, and they're going to be drilling much deeper holes here. You can see the two red dots here. So starting near the known area, working their way to the southwest, stepping out, and then drilling the deeper holes at JJ West. And this is very interesting stuff, because if you look at this whole map of Skoonka, you've got soil anomalies, gold and soil anomalies all over the place, with mag lows all over the place. You can see at least 8 different mag lows. And in particular, there's a few areas where there is the soil anomalies right inside the mag low. So there's a lot of smoke here. And again, there's high grade gold intercepts. It's been drilled before. It just hasn't been drilled extensively. It needs more work to be done to fully understand the potential at Skunka. So this is the start of that right now. And nobody's really paying attention to this drill program at Skunka. You can see this is the setup, and there's the drill. Yeah, so I am very intrigued by Skunka, and I believe that we'll get our first assays from this drill program probably within 6 weeks. So definitely by the end of the year, we'll get the first assays from the program, and they'll probably keep coming throughout January. There's a lot of news flow to come from Skunka. And then, of course, they're still working at Shovel Nose, and actually they've cleared the fronds. So this outcropping high-grade zone, the fronds, let's go to this map over here. So they've cleared this area, and this is really high grade near surface stuff at fronds. It's smaller, but it's easy. It's sitting right at surface. So that will definitely add ounces, and those are near surface high grade ounces. And then we'll get more intercepts from the FMN zone at Shovel Nose, which is where they're drilling right now. And so there's a lot of news flow. And actually, if we look at the news flow year to date in 2022, these are impressive intercepts. I mean, over 3 meters of 45 grams per ton gold, 200 grams per ton silver. Obviously, this was the best gold intercept drilled in the Spencer's Bridge Gold Belt period in history. 23 meters of over 37 grams gold, over 200 grams silver. And then the subsequent follow-up holes were also impressive, but not as good as this hole. I think it was 212. Yeah, 212. So the bar was set very high again. Westhaven had a run up. Stock price almost doubled in the week after this was reported. And they couldn't top that high bar again. So Westhaven has been making a lot of progress. They've been doing great work. They've been figuring out Shovel Nose, and now they're going to figure out Skoonka. They're going to figure out just what the potential is here. And again, it's really the continuity over here, the JJ high grade zone, is important because we want to see how many ounces there could be there and how extensive that high grade is, that 20 gram stuff is. But it's really going to be the step outs at JJ West that could be the game changer, to use an overused expression. They could absolutely be the game changer if they're able to find that boiling zone, or show that the high grade is continuity 900 meters to the southwest. And just a couple more points. I think the downside here at 38.40 cents a share is much lower especially with the 10 million in the bank and the 1.1 million ounces in resource at Shovel Nose. And the upside potential comes from the drill at Skoonka and at Shovel Nose. The fact that nobody's really paying attention to Skoonka and people are skeptical, I think that just lends to more potential upside if they have good results at Skoonka. And then obviously, as we started the video, gold sector headwinds could turn to tailwinds here. I think we're at we're close to, or we're at a very key turning point for the sector. And if those headwinds that we've had throughout 2022 turn to tailwinds, well, that'll be good for Westhaven as well. And then increasing attractiveness of BC as a gold jurisdiction. You can see there's been a lot of transactions, a lot of money invested by Newmont and other major mining companies in the last couple of years in BC. And the Spence's Bridge gold belt is sort of a more under the radar part of BC. It's not the Golden Triangle, but the fact that the largest gold royalty company just invested $10 million in the Spence's Bridge gold belt through Westhaven is notable. And that's a sign that shrewd companies like a Franco are taking advantage of the sector downturn here in 2022 to put money to work and get exposure to this emerging gold belt at attractive valuations. And then the final point is, new discoveries, big discoveries tend to be made during bear market environments for the sector overall. You have Voisey's Bay 1993, Next Gen Arrow 2014. That could be one of the best discoveries in history for any metal. Definitely one of the best discoveries of the last decade. You have Amex, Great Bear, Westhaven, all in 2018. Great Bear was bought out for nearly $2 billion earlier this year. Companies that do good work, that work hard, and keep going one foot in front of the other tend to have good luck. And Westhaven is definitely one of those companies with choice property package in the Spence's Bridge gold belt, 2.5, 3 hour drive from Vancouver. And then the final point is the share structure. This is a company that cares about its share structure, that puts its money where its mouth is, has skin in the game. Over 23% of the shares are held by insiders. And then you have institutions and funds that own roughly another third of the company. So there's just not a lot of shares out there. And if there is a big catalyst that emerges, this is a stock that can definitely move substantially higher. So thank you for your time. If you found any value in this video, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel on YouTube.